Now, one thing about the Royal Rumble, and let me make an off-the-wall comparison. When the U.S. hockey team won the gold medal in 1980, that can never be duplicated again because now the pros play and there's no evil empire to play against. There's no Soviet Union. There's no communist menace. The 1992 Royal Rumble now can never be duplicated because there'll never be a guy with your credibility and fame coming from another promotion to make that kind of impact in the biggest promotion right away. It just can't be done again. And I think that has a lot to do with why it's remembered so iconically.
Yeah, well, I'm very excited, and I'm excited to be looked at in that light, and I'm very honored by it. Thank you.
Does it feel like history to you? I mean, you were in the middle of it. 30 years later, people still talk about it all the time. You're doing watch-alongs with Conrad. Why does that match feel like history, do you think?
Because, I think it's because of the people that are in it. But right along with that, Mark, you've got to remember that they took me off the opening of the show. So if I'm iconic, why is the Ultimate Warrior there in front of me instead of
Nate, I'll tell you exactly why. Because they don't get to determine what's iconic. They don't. That match is iconic. You're iconic.
No, imagine that moment for me to turn on a TV with nobody giving me the heads up.
Well, I agree with you, but
it's been a joke for so many years. I go, God, whenever I'm watching this show, is obviously watching Ashley or whatever, because I watch her religiously, and I watched Raw last night and everything, to not even have any heads up, and all of a sudden I'm gone. And it made news. You're forced to look at social media, as we both are now, especially with the podcast, but with no warning, nothing. All of a sudden, I'm gone.
Nate, I suggest instead of watching the opening, you watch the Royal Rumble, because that's what people care about. And that is Ric Flair. Now, here's a big question, and we'll talk about this, the uncensored version at St. Louis. But what was the party like after? Give me some highlights, because I was there, and I can't remember.
You were there. Bruce MacArthur was there.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, Beth was there. Yeah, we were back at the Hilton, man. We got hammered. We got murdered.
Gee, no kidding. Well, here's my story.
Oakland was there. The usual crew.
Here's my story from the Royal Rumble party. I thought, as usual, you were staying at the Marriott. So I went to the wrong place, and there's no party, right?
Yeah.
And there are no cell phones then.
No.
So I just said, well, maybe he's at this hotel, that hotel. So I called the Hilton, right?
Yeah.
They put me through to the hotel bar.
Yeah.
you know who picks up the phone?
Who?
Davey Boy Smith.
Oh, yeah.
and I go, hey, is Ric Flair there? And I go, and he goes, who's this? I go, it's a friend of his, Mark Madden. Who's this? He goes, it's Davey Boy Smith. And I go, is Rick there? And I go, and he yells out, he goes, hey, Rick, a guy named Mark Madden's on the phone.
Yeah.
And you go, well, tell him to get the fuck over to the Hilton. And I did, and it was great.
Were we drinking?
We were. A lot of people were drinking. It was unbelievable.
Yeah. See, and nobody was upset. Just a good time.
Not.
No.
Of course not. Now, Nate, we got some tweets.
When I 3 years later, when I beat Vader in Charlotte, right? The whole world was upset again. What a bunch of shit.
Yeah, now I know what you mean. That's a good point.
Just 3 years later. Or 1 year later. What year was it? 94?
Well, when you say the whole world, I think it was 94. When you
the
say
whole dressing room. The whhole dressing room.
Yeah, but don't you think that applied to, it wasn't you, it was the promotion.
It was the wrestlers. Jealous. The wrestlers, pure and simple.
But they weren't jealous in WWE because they were real stars. That's why.
And real people.
Yeah, but I think that probably a lot of that got skewed by just the personality of the promotion and the dressing room. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely.
Because there were some people that I met when you worked with them in WWE that were changed people when they got to WCW.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
Give me an example of who.
I'm not going to do that. but some people who were easy to work with and weren't jealous came to WCW and kind of became WCW guys. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. I think I do. I think I understand what you're saying.
Well, we got some tweets about the Royal Rumble that we're going to get to. Here's one from Liam. Was winning the Rumble and the WWF title really the greatest moment of Ric's life, as was said in the post-match promo? Were those words a shoot or a work?
They were that at that point in my life, that was the biggest night of my life. That or Starrcade.
And did anything after that really...
Starrcade 83.
Right, with Harley.
Yeah.
Did anything after that really compare? I mean, are those the big two in your mind?
Those and the retirement match with Shawn. I mean, the thing with Vader was big, I guess, in the eyes that we had a good match and all that. But once again, the old guy was like 44, 45 then, won the title, you know, which I wasn't even figured into that. It all was because of an incident over in Europe.
Here's one from and we know about the scissors incident you're talking about, right?
I guess, yeah. I didn't, but yes.